Dope is what flows in his fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in his fam's DNA.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Dope Interviews brought to you by 19 Media Group. I'm your host, Warren Shaw, and we are back all swagged out with actor, writer, musician, and all-around good dude, Mack Wilds. My dude, how you feeling, family?
Feeling good, man. Feeling great. Especially I just got out of the gym, so it's like the after effects of the gym. I'm on 100 right now. It's amazing.
Oh, the endorphins. I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
On a personal note, right? Things are really bubbling for you right now. You're on Broadway. You got music coming out. I even got a message from another, I guess one of your colleagues, Greg Cali, about another project you were in as well too. I was like, yo, this dude is everywhere. Just how are you feeling with everything that's happening and being so busy?
Whew, man, it's just we have an amazing team first and foremost that we are able to kind of map everything out the right way. And then, I always see this little quote that everybody kind of puts, like says all of that stuff, you disappear for 6 months, do the hard work, and watch 6 months later, everything that you want will start to happen. So literally during the quarantine is when we sat down, we buckled down, we started working on all of these different projects at the same time. And it's weird, uncanny timing, but everything is just dropping perfectly it's God's timing. A lot of this stuff we didn't even plan. I swear, there's no way that we could have planned all of this at one time, but literally just back to back, just from sitting back, sharpening your tools, getting ready, making sure you're doing the best work that you possibly can do, and just getting ready to show the world what power you possess.
Blessings, right? I mean, that's what it's all about, man. So congrats to you and all that. A few weeks ago, I spoke to, a colleague of yours on the Swagger show, spoke to O'Shea. And one of my questions for him,
the God,
he's an amazing dude. He's an amazing dude and always keeps it light and, super humble, the whole nine. And I asked him, and he kind of tripped me out as well, too, because he's a big Lakers fan. I'm a Celtics fan. So we kind of got off to a rocky start, but we good money now. So don't stress it. I asked him, what was the swaggiest thing he's ever done, like in his life? So I'm going to ask you the same question. In your time, like what do you think has been, when was Mack Wilds the most swagged out?
Man, the most swagged out, I think, man, it had to have been just something regarding my daughter, man. Like that's for me, that's when I felt like the most swaggiest. Besides, all of this stuff that I did when I was a kid, there's no greater feeling than, being able to, my little one goes into a bookstore. She loves books. So she'll go into the bookstore, run around, and she'll grab 2, 3, 4, 5 things. And it's like, Dad, I want all of these things. She doesn't really say it, but you can tell that's what she wants. And just being able to be like, all right, babe, just put it up on the table and you got it. And just the feeling that she gets from her mom being like, oh my God, she's going to be so happy. She's going to be quiet for a couple of minutes. Oh my God, it's just overall an amazing feeling, man.
That's what's up. Parenthood is an amazing thing. And it's something that we're definitely going to touch on here a little bit too, when it comes to the Swagger series specifically. So let's transition there. Number one, you're certainly not an actor who's typecasted, right? You played all kinds of different roles. You know what I mean? Yes. Even this last thing I saw when Greg reached out, I was like, yo, my man's hair is color different. I was like he be doing the most and in a good way. What drew you to this role with Swagger on Apple TV, fam?
One of the main things were just the dynamic of the character, being a young Black man in a battle with himself. He's battling with himself versus his own self-interests. So seeing somebody with that fire, with that fight constantly against himself, and it kind of makes him the villain of the story. It was very interesting. Then you add on top of that, it is Kevin Durant, who's one of my homeboys. It is Reggie Rock Bythewood, who is my mentor, my big homie. Then you got, Brian Grazer and the whole Imagine team, and then CBS jumps on board, and then Apple TV Plus jumps on board. It's like, I'd be crazy to say no. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
You swagged on me right there a little bit. Yeah. But it's good. It's good. It's good. It's cool. It's a role as a sneaker executive, right? So like, you know what I mean? I know a lot of people are like method actors and like that. Did you talk to any reps from, well, this is Katie, so we'll keep it. Did you talk to any reps from Nike? You know what I mean? And what it's like to kind of be an executive in that space?
Not necessarily Nike. Not necessarily Nike. I did a lot of research on different sneaker executives. One main one being like Sonny Vaccaro, the guy who kind of facilitated the sneaker deal with Jordan, with Nike, with Adidas, with Kobe, et cetera, et cetera. He was like that guy who was able to really spark what is now the sneaker fandom of it all, creating these sneaker brands for basketball players before they even had them. So seeing his story, how a lot of the conversations aren't held in boardrooms, they're held behind closed doors. It's different. It's a different type of vibe that you get from these guys who are the ones that are creating the brands that we all know and love today. Reading all of that stuff, and then talking to just different executives who I felt are in great places, are in very high places, that, just asking them the battles that they had to deal with, with their morals versus their self-interests, trying to figure out where that battle happens and how does it feel, so that I'm getting into the skin the correct way. So that was what I did mostly.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex situation, and Swagger obviously touches on a lot of different topics throughout the course of the series. But as a sneaker executive, and I liken it maybe even to being like an agent as well too. Like there's just a lot of stuff, like you have to swallow, for the sake of your company. But then that moral aspect is, like you're always kind of towing that line and kind of what's right and what's wrong. Especially when you're dealing with kids. Like that's like even a layer to it as well too. Like it's one thing you do with grown adults, and like, all right, if you excuse my French, you F somebody over or whatever it be, it's cool. But
kids,
it's man.
Different. Yeah, man. So that was one of the biggest things for me, just to kind of just to be able to play around with and see where does he often, I think every episode is different, right? I think every episode you kind of get a chance to see where he lands and then his excuse for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I think that's perfectly said. Ironically, yeah. I mean, everybody justifies things kind of in their own head, if you will, too. So, and again, it's like, oh, one person will say, well, that's my reason, and another like, nah, bro, that's your excuse. And again, those two things are not the same. I want to talk about like this kind of faux pas world, if you will, gladiators, right? So like, I mean, it's a wild thing. So are you a sneakerhead in some aspects? And when can I get a pair of those limited edition gladiators?
Oh man. Yes, first question, I am absolutely a sneakerhead. Been a sneakerhead since I was a kid. Started my collection when I was about like 14, 15. And it started just trying to collect all of the different Air Force Ones. I think at that time it was like 2000, like the heyday of AF1s was really like between 2005 for me, 2005 to like 2008 or 9. That's when I started branching out into other sneakers and stuff. Of course, the retro Jordans were always staples, but the things that I was like always looking for were the different types of AF1s, the Black History Months, the Tokyo special edition joints, like all of these different, that was my thing, man. But it's funny now because even now there's a lot of sneakers that I see, and the game is so different now, man. You know, it's no longer waiting in line or the guy at the sneaker store or something like that. It's really like it's a lot. It's different. So there'll be times where I want to press the button on the sneakers app and be like, I ain't gonna get these anyway. It doesn't even make sense. Doesn't even make sense.
The discipline. I mean, it's got to be different.
Discipline. I try to just justify it in my head, like, Tristan's gonna need something. Yeah, there's no point in spending $150, $200 on these shoes. Tristan's gonna need something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. See, look at those priorities, fam. I'm rocking with you. That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
I'm listen. It is an everyday battle. It's an everyday battle. Trust me.
We're chatting with Mack Wilds here on Dope Interviews. Make sure you're following him on social at Mack Wilds. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Warren Shaw here. And when I bet at MyBookie. Go to MyBookie and they will double your first deposit. Use my promo code at MyBookie, and my promo code is DOPE. That's DOPE, DOPE for Dope Interviews, of course. And you can claim that deposit bonus here today. A lot of people think about MyBookie and think it's only about sports, and let me tell you, it is not. They have prop bets that you can utilize for movies, politics, and even current events. If you have a friend, even better. You can use your referral link after you use my promo code, of course, and use that referral link to send to your friends, and you can receive up to 250% additional bonus dollars from MyBookie. That's MyBookie using my promo code DOPE, DOPE, and you claim your deposit bonus here today. Bet anywhere, bet anytime, bet all the time at MyBookie using my promo code DOPE. And we're back here on Dope Interviews, brought to you by 19 Media Group, picking up the conversation with my guy, Mack Wilds. It's been a great time so far. So I want to ask this question, so talking about swagger in the series that you're in as well too. Did you hoop? Did you hoop growing up?
Man, I didn't. I definitely did. It's so funny, right? Even right now on the play that I'm doing, Thoughts of a Colored Man, the character that I'm playing was an old basketball player. And I started to ask my team, like, yo, is there something about me that makes y'all feel like I could play ball? Because I really can't. Like that, it's not my thing. I mind you, I love
the game.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And I think the reason why I love it the way that I do, and the reason I didn't play it, are one and the same. My older brother, who I idolized growing up, he played ball. I played every other sport besides ball, just because he was the ball player. Played football, played baseball, soccer, wrestling, boxing, lacrosse. I did field hockey every now and then. I played every other sport besides basketball just because my older brother was doing it.
Dang, that's wild. I mean, that's actually really wild. So, I mean, let me just branch off really quick. So, of those other sports, what was your favorite sport that you played?
It would have to be between football and boxing. I think there's a certain science to boxing that a lot of people, they call it the sweet science, but there's it's like playing chess. It's not just knock somebody's head off, which you can do if that's, that could be your strategy, but you get winded really fast. Somebody tag you up a couple times, you always get knocked down with the punch that you don't see. So it's a beautiful, like, if done right, boxing is like a dance. It's man, yeah, boxing was always, and football, football, of course, because it's not just about how fast you are. There's a lot of guys that I know that are really fast that don't know how to stop on a dime and juke. There's just so much. There's so much that goes into football as well that it just, those two always stand out to me.
For sure. I mean, in all of those sports, like you said, like there's a cerebral aspect in all sports. There's a cerebral aspect that you have to get into regularly, to kind of be the best you can be. Even taking it back to the series itself too, I think the writers of this, they were very cerebral in their approach to this.
200.
And I want to ask you kind of, what did you learn about the basketball community, more importantly, the youth basketball community, through your role and playing in this series? Because there's some shady-ish going on down when it comes to this, you know what I mean? And coaches and, you know, poaching players and the whole situation? Just kind of what was your knowledge base when it came to the series?
I mean, I guess I knew like surface level stuff about the entire grassroots program. I had a few friends who played in AAU and things of that nature, but it wasn't until we did the show that I really start to grasp, especially nowadays, you know, with the boom of social media and things, the pressures that we put on these kids at such a young age. A lot of these kids are 14, 15 years old, first year of high school, or if maybe not even in high school yet. And we are placing pressure upon them, especially, like I said, now with the social media boom, the Mikeys, the Bronny Jameses, the Zaires, like all of these young cats that we see will be, you know, if they have a bad game, just like the older guys that are in the NBA will be in their comments talk about you suck, you're a bum, whatever, and they have to deal with that. And they haven't even gone through calculus yet. They haven't gone through their first, like, they haven't gone on their first dates and all of, like, it's a lot to put on the mind of a kid that's still trying to navigate through high school. And then on top of it, trying to navigate being a young Black man. It's a lot. And I think it wasn't until I did the show that I started to realize that pressure. I was one of those guys. I was definitely one of those guys online that I was like, man, come on, you could have done better than that, but not realizing, like, maybe he had a bad game because he had a bad test score and he was mad about. Like, there's so many different things, and these kids aren't getting paid for this. You know, these kids aren't getting. They just started the NIL rule for kids, like, and then that's for college kids. It's tricky, man. It's tricky.
Nah, I mean, you touched on something really poignant there, at least in my opinion. You know, my wife always says, hey, they're just babies. You know what I mean? They're still learning how to grow up themselves and faced with all of these very tough challenges. You know, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but obviously there's an episode in which, you know, you're pretty involved. People go through some things that you weren't aware of, your character wasn't aware of. And that's kind of exactly to what you're speaking to, kind of like right now. Like, you just kind of get caught up in, like, hey, I see them, they're here now, they're playing this game, but not understanding that there's life off of the court and real life, real things, real issues,
real life, real things
people are dealing with, for sure. One of the things in this area that strikes me is kind of the parental influence, and we've talked a little bit about that as we've gone through this interview. And like, you're a dad in real life, you know what I mean? That's probably your most proudest thing right now, right?
Yeah.
And as I'm watching the series, I see the parental influence as something that is sometimes you see very much like, hey, as a parent, this is my influence on my child. And then there's also like the subconscious influence that you don't realize you have sometimes as a parent. You don't realize that you're maybe projecting on them in some aspects as well too. So I think that's portrayed very, very well in the series if you're paying attention. Just what do you think, you know, as a dad? I mean, obviously your child is younger and stuff like that as well too, but just in general, what do you think parents can do to kind of get their message across and to be more in touch with what their children are going through in a time like this, especially when it comes to youth basketball or whatever it is that they may be most invested in?
I think the biggest thing that honestly any of us can do, all of us can do, we ask questions and then we listen. You know, I think the biggest part of communication that a lot of people miss out on is the listening part. We often just get angry and frustrated about what we feel needs to happen or how we think things need to go. And we, especially for kids, we start to dictate to them versus treating them or giving them the space and the grace to be human and be like, yo, just let me, what are you feeling right now? What's going on? Like, where are you? So that I can meet you there and then we can go from there. I know as a child growing up, I didn't get it often. And I know generations before me didn't get it often. So it's one of those things that I think now that we have the know-how to do so, it's time to do that. Like, if if you do see a kid not doing as well or whatever it is, instead of beating them down, which doesn't help, try to figure out what the problem is and work on that problem. Like that's what that I feel like that should be the solution.
I love it. I love it. I mean, we're definitely in a space where we need to be more in touch and in tap with what people are feeling. And obviously our kids, our own flesh and blood, but even if you adopted or whatever the case may be, if you're taking care of young people, tap in, like truly tap in and don't just dictate. I think it's weird because like maybe in some ways gone are the days in some aspects, hey, do it because I told you so. Kids now are going to ask us why, you know what I mean? And they're going to know the why behind things. And I think maybe as a parent, we have a duty and due diligence to kind of give them that why in a lot of ways as well too.
I agree.
Favorite character on the show outside of yourself?
Ooh, favorite character on the show. I'd say Jace. I actually no. It's Jace's mom. Yo, Chanel brings a certain an energy to that character. When I tell you, she is like every strict moms I ever met in my life. Boy, like I think it was last episode. Jace, you know, he looks into the crowd and she's like everybody's telling him, you know, you got to play with a teammate's mindset. You got to be passing the ball and all of that. And he looks at his mom and she looks at him with that straight look and she's like, take over. You better do what I said. Oh, yeah. Mama Carson.
Yeah, no, she's dope. She's dope. She acts so amazingly in that, and she's a flawed character on top of it as well too. So you know, not afraid to kind of bring that out as well too. I love it as well. What does the future hold for your character? You know, in the series, bro. Or what would you like it to? You know, what's the arc? Like, what's the arc for Lonzo?
I think there's going to be a time where he realizes the error of his ways and tries to make up for some of his wrongdoing. But I think ultimately we'll see at the end if it's too little too late.
Okay. All right. Well, I haven't finished it just yet. I was telling the folks, I was like, I'm at the very, very tail end. I'm on episode 9. So I'm anxious to see how it works out. But man, that's all the time we have today. My guy, Mack Wilds, you've been amazing. Please, please, please check out Swagger on Apple TV. Don't be, you know, borrowing your friend's password. Go ahead and tap in and watch that joint for my guy, Mack Wilds. New music coming out as well too, right?
I mean, yeah. Today, whenever this drops, the song will hopefully be out by then. And if you hear the new song, that means the album is on the way. So, yeah.
Swagged out. That's it, my guy, Mack Wilds. Make sure you follow him on all social media outlets. Please rate, review, subscribe, the whole 9 to Dope Interviews. I'm your host, Warren Shaw, and this has been another Dope Interview. We thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Together we stand, divided we never. The vision is one, striving for the better. Working as a team, working toward a dream. It's not even work when the team is the dream. On a united front, we got our own back. A band of brothers to counteract any attack. One heart in fact, forget what the blood say. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. So let's do it for the love, give to the max. Listen to opinion, but react to facts. And remember that together with a but separate, just pieces of it. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA. Dope is what flows in this fam's DNA.
Family represent like a tree with names on it. We're free, no chains on it. Relieved, the pain's gone, I can see. We come together like questions on the quiz. Mojo Flow and Viz, man, you know what it is. And if ignorance is bliss, you're gonna hate this lesson. Organized intellect like a tropical depression. My symbol is the cross, a mic and ghost peppers. Cause I'm just a black sheep growing up to be a shepherd. Moonlighting as a weapon to protect the children. Every brother is a father, dynasties we're building. Max, J and K, Bay, and Isaiah, next level of the family foundation, understand me?